Okay, I'm going to call the Board of Commissioners meeting to order for May 22nd. George, would you lead us in the flag salute?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I may need your call.
I have more in the room, so
Okay, this meeting is a public meeting. It's being recorded and video recorded also, and it is being streamed live on the internet. Awards and recognitions. We have a couple this morning, I believe.
this one actually, since I have it, I'll read it, Commissioner Offering. It's from Matt Yoshioka, the interim superintendent of the Pendleton School District, thanking the Community Economic Development for $5,000 for the school's career program, which has been highly successful. I think that was noted in the paper too, all the progress that they're making. Yes. So I'll let you keep that as a souvenir. Somehow it ended up over here.
Okay, any others? Did you have one?
No.
Oh, okay. Our minutes for the May 3rd and April 13th and May 3rd.
Can we do this in a blanket motion?
Not normally.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I move approval of the minutes of the land use hearing, April 13, 2017.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Mr. Chair, I move the adoption, approval of the minutes May 3rd, 2017.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. We approve the minutes for April 13th.
26.
26.
26, yeah.
All those in favor signify
Aye.
by saying aye.
Aye. Mr. Chair, I move approval of the minutes of May the 8th, 2017.
Third.
Or May the 3rd, thank you.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. We approve the minutes for April 3rd, 2017. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Okay, are there any additions to the agenda, Doug?
No, I do not believe so.
I have one. I would like to have us consider a proposal from Wasco County that we support House Bill 2645A. I have a copy of it.
Okay,
Actually,
and
we had several.
that'll be number 20. Geez, how we get so many of these items on our agenda at one time? All right. Public input and recognition of visitors. Is there anyone that has anything to address the board this morning that is not a presentation or not on our regular agenda?
Mr. Stevens said he would be here, but I don't.
He's
Yeah,
here.
he's here.
There he is. Oh, there he is. Sorry.
Is that when I speak
Yeah,
up?
that's you.
So,
Thank you, gentlemen. Am I supposed to be here?
yes.
Yeah.
And if you would tell us who you are so that we know.
Eli Stevens, property owner in Umatilla County.
Okay.
As you look through these, when they get to the end, if you flip them upside down, and I'm sorry, there's one that didn't make it that I would like to show you.
Is this your neighbor?
For some reason, that one didn't make it. It's an electrical panel. I'm sorry, I forgot to print it out for whatever reason. Thanks for seeing me. Number one, I just really hate doing this. I think that neighbors should be able to work together. That's not happened. I've worked with this. I've attempted to call this gentleman numerous times. Does not return my phone calls. So I'm seeing kind of 3 points here. One is economics. In the last 30 days, I've had 4 groups of people come to buy my property. They looked at the motel, they turned their nose up, would not buy my property at any price until the motel was resolved. So that's taken jobs away from our county. 4 different groups of people have turned me down because of this property. That's just economics. The other part, Pendleton's the county seat. It's the first thing you see when you come into Pendleton. First thing you see. It's disgusting. The third thing is a safety issue. If you look at some of those pictures, you can see a lot of fire starter there. Anything from tumbleweeds, chairs, 2x4s. There's a lot of material there to start a fire.
Eli, for the benefit of the audience, and I think the minutes, could you specifically identify the property?
Rodeo City Inn, 7 Inn, corner of exit 202 and I-84.
Thank you.
Better known as Barnhart exit.
Barnhart exit's another
Airport.
name, yes sir.
Across from Woody's truck.
Across from Woodpecker Truck Stop, or Woodpecker Truck, yes.
Thank you.
When I was operating, I always told Woody that he was across from me. We kind of got the same one. I own some storage units here in town. Somebody broke into one of them, a vacant one, got trash out of the dumpster, and started a little fire right here in town. No real damage. You had to clean up some soot. It's a concrete floor. It's a tin building. So no real problem. But we're dealing with people that don't have a full set of dishes. They don't think like normal, rational people. So this individual that broke into my place here in town got stuff out of trash, plastic, just whatever he could get a fire going in. Out at that motel, as I said, there's 2x4s, tumbleweeds, chairs, there's things to burn. I am utterly amazed that it went through this winter without burning down. You saw the vandalism there. Every window is broken, every door is kicked in, graffiti on the walls. So we can't say that nobody's going out there. There's plenty of traffic out there. I'm at a loss as to why it didn't burn down this winter. I'm glad, don't get me wrong, I'm glad it didn't, but I don't understand that.
Eli, if you called the sheriff's department on
Numerous
some...
times.
Okay.
Numerous times. I actually have a guy, he's kind of a caretaker. And Joe's a great guy. He spent time in prison. He understands that mentality. He is now clean, sober, running the straight and narrow for a decade. But the point is, Joe understands those kinds of people, so he chases them away.
So you're saying there were people living in there?
You can see by the pictures, I don't know if they're actually living there, but they're there. They're spending enough time to break all the windows, kick all the doors in, write the graffiti on the walls, attempt that electric panel. You saw the hose locker for the fire ripped off the wall. I mean, they're trying to steal things and vandalize and do whatever. Why they didn't start a fire, I don't know. The other half of it is, if you look at the building itself is stout. The building. The staircases outside, those are 3-story staircases. And if you look at the bottom one, the post is so rotted. I mean, I could go up there and move that post around like this. Oh, excuse me, stay put. It's being held up with a 4x4. 3 stories in the air. I mean, I'm not an engineer, but I don't think that's safe. So, not only could they burn the place down, but it could fall, the outside of it, the staircase, could fall down around them. Some of the soffits are hanging, as you saw. So, I don't want to take up a lot of time. It's county seat. First thing people see when they come into our town, just the beautification of it. Safety issue, not only fire, but structural. Economics, I could have sold my property, we could have created jobs here, but they won't. So what I'm asking for, we've already shut the business down. Doug and I worked hard to get that done. We got the business shut down, but the second step was never taken. I was a contractor in Portland. I was on Lake Oswego and Portland's vendor list, and we're not them. I don't want to be them. But they don't only kick them out. Nuisance properties have to be kept mowed. The windows and doors have to be boarded and secured properly. So what I'm asking for is to check and see if we don't already have that that clause, whatever the right term is, that we make that clause so that the windows are plywooded up. Not just slap a piece of plywood up, but cut it properly, screw it to the window frame so people cannot get in there. The doors are bolted shut. I did a quick look at it. I mean, that building's worth anywhere from $75,000 to $400,000. Depends on who wants to buy it. To do what I'm asking, somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 to properly cut the plywood, nail it, screw it to the windows, paint it white, sweep it clean, and now it's done. This guy won't communicate with me, so I'm, like I said, I wish neighbors could do it.
Who owns the property?
Chris, very nice guy, older gentleman. Chris, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, wears a turban on his head, Hindu, I think. Explained to me that they don't even want to step on a flea or an ant. They all life is sacred kind of guy. I don't remember what religion that is, but he's a great guy, owns multiple motels. He explained to me that he was on a buying spree. He bought 4 of them. He was going to fix the one up north of Seattle, the one in Nevada, the one in California, and then he was going to get on this one. It's been about 2.5 years now. Apparently he decided that this was too much trouble.
You haven't talked to him recently?
No, I've made numerous attempts to call him, and he never returns calls.
Hey, Doug, can we follow up and see what's going on? And then I would suggest we have either maybe our code enforcement go out.
They have gone out and they didn't really see anything as far as they could see as a violation.
Okay. But at least have the sheriff go out and note the graffiti and some of the things that we saw in the pictures. So,
Do you need a motion?
I would entertain a motion.
I so move.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We follow up with that. Doug will follow up, county staff, and have our sheriff go out and investigate the graffiti.
I'll second the motion. Go ahead. I have a comment or two. I wonder, I've been in a lot of houses where things were pretty dismal as far as housekeeping. And as far as the way they keep house or what they draw on their walls, we're probably going to have a lot of difficulty with that, but it's worth looking into to see, Eli, what can be done. It's a shame that it's next to you.
But I have 175 houses, so I see.
You've seen it.
I've seen
Sure.
housekeeping from Martha Stewart to things you don't even want to walk in. I mean, I literally don't walk in. It's not the housekeeping. The exterior of it, boarded up so that the riffraff, there's got to be a better, more polite term, does not go in, start a fire, climb on the structures that could collapse. So it's more of a safety issue. I don't care, the interior of the walls, I don't care if they do it. The point of the graffiti is, we know they're there. The proof is there that people are hanging out there. So that's the point of the graffiti. If we boarded up the windows properly, we wouldn't see the graffiti. I don't care.
Are you operating your business there now, or are you just trying to sell it?
Trying to sell it. I've got two renters officially. Pay me $100 each. Just the only reason they're there is caretakers. They're a set of eyes.
Okay.
I can't operate a business there. I cannot.
Okay.
Woodpecker was the last one looked at it and said, yep, we want to expand. And then a week later he says, no, until something's done with the motel. And he's an established, respectable business in town. 75 employees. How many more would he bring on if he had that?
All right, thank you.
Thanks
We
for hearing me,
will
sir.
we'll move with the county staff.
Thank you.
I don't think we voted.
Oh, we still have to vote on that, yeah. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, the next item on the agenda is presentation by City of Penland for the tourism, I believe. This is not something,
It's on the agenda under number 10.
is it on our, oh it is, okay.
In
Yeah.
deference to the guests, could we move it up?
We certainly could move it up. This was not a discussion I don't think you folks had with Bill, who is our liaison in our
No,
economic.
and this is as
So-
much economic development as it is tourism.
Yeah, so that needs to go through
Okay.
Commissioner
If
Ellis.
you wouldn't mind, I'd love to present to you.
Okay.
Pat Beard, Travel Pendleton. I want to visit with you a little bit about $137 million industry in Umatilla County. And that is tourism. But I think as a county, as a community, each of our communities start looking at tourism as an industry rather than people coming to visit you, we start to understand its power. I came to you in 2015 and we partnered on a project that we called the Tripster Campaign, and was wildly successful in it. And what it was, we were inviting millennials, those from 25 to 45, to come and visit Pendleton, which one of its assets is how authentic it is, how unique the music, art, and culture that abounds here. And so what we're coming to visit with you today is a program I'm going to call, a project we're going to call One More Day. And we're reaching out to a different age demographic, and that is mature, inquisitive travelers. Those that are from 50 to 75 who have discretionary income and discretionary time. The people that can come and visit Pendleton and enjoy it. Currently, as I told you, there's $137 million in direct spending in Umatilla County based on those that come to visit. That's an average of $340 a night that those that come here, and that's to stay in a motel, to buy fuel, to buy meals, incidental shopping. So based on that metric, 170 overnight visits will create one job. That creates enough funding, direct spending in Umatilla County to create one job. So every time that if we had a register or some sort of a calculator that knew that we hit 170 overnight visits, bang, we'd create one more job. So that's the importance of what we're talking about. 58,000 in direct spend, tourism direct spending creates one job. Pendleton is the base for tourism in Umatilla County. Much like you've expended a lot of energy and effort and investment in the west side of the county because it's the most ready for industry. And I've read several articles, Commissioner Elfring, where you talked about why it's so important that you're doing that in West County because of cheaper lands, accessibility to electricity, those kinds of things. And I would say the same holds true of the power of tourism for Pendleton. It's the one place in Umatilla County that's ready. It's amazing that there is that you have an industry that brings in 137 million that takes no investment or little. It's happening almost by default. And so what I'm here to talk to you about is this project. And the reason we call it One More Day, if we can get travelers, and more importantly, if we can get residents of Umatilla County to invite their guests to stay one more day, we can increase that direct spending by $100 million. That's huge. So I'm going to let Jeff share with you the project that we're putting together.
Hi, how are you folks doing?
Good.
Commissioners, morning everybody. My name is Jeff Lorton. I've been working with Pat for a couple years now. I own the Duke Joseph Agency. It's a small advertising agency. It's on Main Street. Pardon me, I've got a chest cold. I was the Economic Development Director for 1 year at Yamhill County. And then there was a political shift, and we got new commissioners and new plans. Probably the biggest takeaway for me, I spent a year studying, the reason I was hired, my agency was hired by the county to fill that role. They didn't have an economic development office at that time, and they hired us to do a bunch of services for them. One of the services was to do rural economic development research, to actually look around North America and see what was working, use emulation as a strategy to try and exceed for others what had gone. I've been working in tourism for almost 30 years. I worked in Antarctica, the South Pacific, Alaska, all over South America, in every form of tourism, from taking people on Jeep tours on Easter Island to taking people to see polar bears in the Arctic. I grew up in Alaska, but I'm an Oregonian. I went to college in LeGrand, and I was born down in Medford, well, Jacksonville. So I know about tourism and I know about advertising, and worked with Pat quite a lot. We did some of the video work that's been done so far. We've worked with the Roundup as well. We just made a commercial for the rodeo network for them, that sort of thing. And we are a research-based organization. I'm an empiricist at heart, and so I want evidence, and my clients appreciate it when I give them evidence of a direction to go in and a strategy. We work with international brands, Yamaha, Carl Zeiss. These are clients of ours here in North America, and we help them with strategy. I'm not tooting my own horn, it's just trying to set the stage here. So this is Janet and Forrest, and Janet and Forrest are kind of an archetype and represent for us these mature, inquisitive travelers. So we started this project 2 years ago with Pat and what we call the Tripsters, and we were aiming at the, say, plus 150,000 immigrants to Portland that have moved from somewhere else, work at Nike, make $90,000 a year, are probably about 28, believe it or not, 32, up into their 40s. And we have had luck with that campaign. We shot film that they could identify with, showed a story of people enjoying things around Pendleton and outside out in Echo. And now we want to bookend the other side of that project, and we want to approach this audience here. This is where the money is. And the money is really with the boomers. And so as Pat was describing, these mature, inquisitive travelers, you know, what do we know about them? They're 50 to 70 years old. This is Janet and Forrest. They're real people. They are the definition of mature, inquisitive explorers. Take a lot of road trips, do a lot of travel. And there's Janet and Forrest. They love agritourism. This is something that they're very passionate about. They respect farmers. They want to see where their food comes from, and they want to support those farmers. They're suburbanites. They've got the money and the time to travel. They mostly travel independently. They do a lot of road trips. They like bumping into life and seeing a slice of Americana. They want to enjoy these types of things. They like community events. They like culture, history, and art. They like to have some fun. They want to meet the chef. Food is very important to them. They want to eat things that are locally made. They want to have local ingredients. Want a dessert, and they love their beverages, wine, beer, now distillery items here being made in the county, right? And there's a brewery over in Milton Freewater. There's a new small pocket brewery that's probably be the darling and hottest brewery, you know, before too long once people find out it's there. And they really want to meet the people that are doing these things, which is why they come out here instead of going into the store to buy the items. They do that too, but they want to come out and meet the people. This has kind of become like a Northwest tradition for people to go out and meet people that make things they like to eat and drink. They want to take pride in America, and so they appreciate when they come east that we tend to fly our flags a little stiffer. over here, and I'm a transplant. I only moved out here about a year ago, but I did mention I grew up in Alaska, and I haven't ridden a lot of horses, but I have ridden a couple of bears, so I feel culturally connected. They really like to celebrate diversity, and they like to see it on display, and that is something that we have here in spades, of course. And they want to smell the flowers, they want to see the sights, and they want to come to Umatilla County. So we need to reach out to them and encourage them to come more often. We need to show them multiple facets of what they can come and do. What we specialize in is we build visual stories that we then deliver through social media channels, like Facebook, that sort of thing. So we build videos, little video stories that show people that can identify with the people in it. So you go, yeah, I'm kind of like that. Yeah, I could see myself doing those things. Oh, I didn't know that there was a creamery in Milton Freewater, or that Walker's was the place to have lunch in Hermiston, that sort of thing. And so we have drawn kind of a boundary around and picked out a bunch of the gems that we would like to record. And as we do this, what we're doing is we're building a long-term, high-definition library of video assets for marketing tourism. So we started out by telling one story about basically a weekend in Pendleton, floating on the Umatilla, seeing JD play in front of Hamley's, having a steak at Sidney-Audie's, going out to Echo to go wine tasting. We want to keep adding those storylines with new characters, and then ultimately what we'll be able to do is take all those video sets and combine them together and show a main piece which shows young and old, diverse people all coming out here, all enjoying a slice of what we have to offer. I totally agree with everything Pat said. I'm real happy that you guys are behind tourism, especially you, Commissioner Elfring, because I was told when I started my tenure as the economic development guy in Yamhill County to not put 1 ounce of effort into tourism, that tourism was a low dollar proposition, and that it didn't matter. And that commissioner is no longer a commissioner, but he was wrong on several counts. And tourism is a lead of economic development. And it's often how people who invest into an area or community first encounter it. I have experienced this for the last 10 years in Yamhill County. People come out there to do the wine thing, they fall in love with it, they meet people, they form relationships, they find an opportunity to invest a little nest egg that they have into something, they meet some young, bright-eyed entrepreneur that's got a great idea or something, they want to feel connected, and so they put a little money in to feel connected. This is a very common place. And tourism is how you showcase yourself to the world to start with. It's the lowest cost because they come and pay you to come take a look at your goods and what you've got to offer. And so investment and continued investment in tourism, I think, is very sound and smart to do. We want to be the storytellers for this. We came out here with an eye for that. Since I've been here, I've hired 3 new employees. I've hired a filmmaker, a producer, and an assistant. They work full-time in our office. I had to poach them off other people to get them, so everybody got a raise. We've got a great story to tell here. I've been working in tourism, like I said, for a very long time. I've done it independently, owned my own. I owned a wine tour company. I owned a whale watching company in Canada. Been board member on several tourism organizations and even founded one. And I'm very happy to work with Pat. And I'd like to point out, just for the benefit of everything, this guy did win the Governor's Tourism Leadership Award a couple weeks ago, so he's not, yeah, exactly. We're very proud of him, obviously, but also we put a lot of confidence in him that he's going down the right path, and we enjoy working with him very much, and we hope to continue to do so. So we'd like to follow whatever process is involved in order to satisfy you that we might be willing to invest a little bit.
Okay, Jeff, thank you. A couple of questions. Did you do any tourism in Jackson County?
In Jackson County? No, but I've certainly studied it, and I have colleagues down there. Okay. When I was with the county, I had colleagues down there, and I actually considered moving to Jackson County and relocating my business there because I have a lot of family still living there, a lot of elderly aunts and uncles. My grandmother just passed. But in the end, it's done down there, right? Everyone that's found the opportunities have been found. There's still gold in these hills to be dug up. And
Yes.
so, and there's a lot of young people that much younger than me that I've talked to in Pendleton and the county that feel the same way.
I know the Brit facility in Jackson.
Empathy. If you've got amphitheater on in mind, that's a real good thinking. And I read the thing in the paper, and I was like, wow, that came out of the side. And boy, if that happens, that would be a very positive.
The one at Echo.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Pat would like to get it here, but in Pendleton.
Until the county's home.
But
It's within the borders.
there you go.
Right.
You know, Echo is really just, we're going to fight Hermiston, whose suburb it is.
No, they belong to Pendleton. I've already started the ownership process, the adoption process.
Annexation.
Yeah.
We have the Hermiston city manager here. He may decide that he disagrees with that. So
They're really, you know,
He is here.
the wine being made in Echo is punching way over its weight. The wines are outstanding, and it's a surprise because the people making the wines have really not been doing it for that long, but they certainly have dialed it in. And I've taken it all over the world. I've taken it to Germany with me, and people are just astounded at how good it is. So it's nice to have have two now wine regions here in the county.
In the build out of the agritourism, which is underway now, is going to be a huge help in that too, to be able to direct people to places where they can see this.
Pat, we have a home in Pacific City, and on a weekend you can't find a parking place. On the other 5 days of the week, you could throw a rock and not hit anybody. And I wonder about the same kind of thing here. You're beginning to talk about people who ought to be retired if they aren't, that have the luxury of traveling during the week. Is there any kind of focus
who we're after?
Putting people on the streets Monday through Friday?
When they have discretionary income and time that says, hey, let's stay a couple days longer, or with this idea, I started thinking about this. I met a man that was here traveling that had a 30-day trip through the Northwest. He was from Israel. Got to Pendleton, and he said, I love this place. And had 2 weeks left on his itinerary and decided to spend them all in Pendleton. Those are the people that we want to be able to influence. And once you've found a place that's authentic, genuine, that has this collection of culture, art, and good people, that's where you want to be, and you have the ability to stay there. So to expedite this all, here's why I came here today. We're asking you to partner with us in this important economic development effort, and we would hope that you could fund this project $20,000, 15,000 of that for creation of digital assets and video. Much of it would be around the county in a hub and spoke mentality where we would encourage people to stay in Pendleton, then reach out all throughout the county to find those cultural, agritourism, art things that are permanent here, then really discover all of Umatilla County that way. And then $5,000 of that would be to deliver the assets via social media. And it's the most economical, most powerful way to reach the masses and to be able to target who we're reaching. It's not going out in shotgun effort. We found that we can target age demographics, even down to specific neighborhoods in Portland, Spokane, Seattle, and Boise, and that's who we're bringing here. We're at the confluence of all those places.
I know you'll bring this to the or give us a copy of your your proposal for the Economic Development Grants Committee.
I will.
And I did have a question on the it was called the hipster, wasn't it?
We called it the Tripster campaign. Internally, it was given that name when it was released by the East Oregonian. We called it the Tripster campaign.
Okay. You had a similar campaign there.
Right, exactly. Different age demographic.
On your digital online presence, do you have a number of hits?
We did. We brought that to you. We reported back to you.
I forgot.
Sadly, I didn't bring that with you, but I can email you that response because we have it in hand now. So what I'll do is I will email you, you commissioners, the findings of that first effort, and then also our request for this one.
Very good.
Okay.
One more question on my question about I know you get excited about heads on beds.
Mhm.
Do you, and you know, you could say how many more overnights there were in a year. Do you have that on a daily basis?
We couldn't break it down daily.
You couldn't. I'm just curious, you know,
It'd be a great data point to have. If
To
it was
know.
possible. It would take an effort in order. You'd have to create a survey system that all of the lodging operators could work with.
Yeah.
It would be a fantastic data to have, and it's a kind of, and because there's such great data already from Dean Runyon and Associates, they've been doing it for well over a decade for the whole state. They do it for all the other states as well. They're really good at it, but they just happen to be locally based in Oregon. They do Napa and all the rest of it.
I'll email you a link to that study digitally.
Okay, Bill's committee obviously will take this up, but I'm just curious,
Sure.
if we got into a campaign to try to bring more people here during the week, what kind of
Right.
data will we gather that will
Sure, but
demonstrate
there's
whether or not it
metrics.
worked?
There's
Yeah.
metrics to be sure. And Pat, if I'm not mistaken, you have very strong metrics over the last 2 years, do you not, about increases in overnights?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And part of this was come here, and not only Bill and I talked about this a great deal, but also to inform the other two commissioners and hopefully influence you in helping lobby Bill. I'll just be real plain about it.
Maybe I should make public the names of the others on that committee.
Okay.
But we will
Commissioners,
certainly be talking.
Thanks so much. We
Thank you.
appreciate your
Thank
time.
you very much.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's go back up to number 1, Airport Road renaming. Just to bring people up to date, we had a public hearing on this. It was closed to deliberation, or to testimony in both written and oral, and we set this time for deliberation. So with that, we also have some information that was given to us at the state level. So I will let Commissioner Murdoch. I've been out of town the last week, so Commissioner Murdoch.
I think, well, as part of this, I think at one point in time I believe I saw a communication from you to the city of Hermiston.
Yes.
Suggesting that perhaps we give the road to the city. My concern at this point is that I had a lengthy visit with Senator Hansel on Friday relative to what's in the budget for the forthcoming year. And he assured me that the paving of Airport Road and Ott Road, East Airport Road and Ott Road, are, and he was almost definite in terms of the fact that is going to be there. There's enough momentum from Representative Smith, enough momentum from Senator Hansel, and they have rallied the troops.
They are championing it.
Yeah, to a point
Both
where,
sides.
and he also told me that they're going to give that money to the county, that the money will come to the county, which will in turn pave the road. And the specific legislation specifies which roads are going to be repaved. So I'm very uncomfortable messing with it right now, frankly, with pending legislation, that we in any way could take action that would deter the pavement of that road, because I'm a lot more concerned about getting those two paved than I am about changing the name.
As am I.
And I would agree with that. So,
I understand it's extremely frustrating for the EOTech board and for the city of Hermiston that we don't say yes or no, but frankly, this is probably going to cost several $1 million to get it repaved, and the money appears to be there, and the paving will be happening rather quickly. So I would rather that we table this matter until such time as that transpires.
that motion.
Yes.
I would second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we table the renaming of Airport Road until the issue of the money for the paving project is determined. I guess basically we have a check in hand.
And if I could comment, in the meantime, the road has been airport road for the 26 years I've lived there, and I don't think there have been a great many people that have gotten lost out there. You know, most people in Eastern Oregon travel to a place, they don't travel to a road. And one time being there, they know how to find it. So I would support that motion to table.
It might be feasible to put up a sign at the other one that says this isn't EOTech for the wayward truckers.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Other comments? I would agree that we don't want to mess with a good thing as far as the money for that at this point. The legislature can be sometimes a little fickle. If we start making changes, they can real quickly find other places to put money. So I don't want to lose that ability. With that, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Could we take item 8 now? Since Byron and Dan are here in deference.
Yes.
If he wants to talk.
Maybe I need to go to timeout.
Dan, you'd never miss an opportunity to talk about public, so you're not coming up.
I'll let Byron handle.
Wow. Get that in the minutes.
Yes.
All right, members of the commissioners, appreciate the opportunity. Byron Smith representing EOTech, 1705 East Airport Road, as you just decided today. Just wanted to highlight a couple of things from a budgetary standpoint, and then I have some pictures to share that I took on Friday of the construction progress, so I'd like to share those with you.
And thank you for posting those online.
I might need some help. Dan, Mr. Lanai, could you put, oh wait, look at that.
There we go.
Except for their
good?
individual, but they're individual ones.
Yeah, but
so I'll
I
have
think
to
it
put-
might let me.
I think the arrow through there should be good, right?
I think the arrow's
a little arrow.
Wait a minute, where am I though?
We'll go to listen.
The full page of it.
right there.
Okay,
Click that. See if it changes. There we go.
okay, okay.
Can you expand to a full page?
Click on this here, and then you can scroll up a little bit. And you can hit this for full page too.
Oh, wow.
That one right there.
I'm afraid to do that, okay.
Wait,
Oops.
do it again.
How about the one at the top?
Well, you can maximize that, but
Oh,
I don't know why that didn't do anything for you. It's supposed to make it.
This one?
Back again. This one. Yeah. Over here. Can't take. I'm talking over
Is that, well, I don't know if that's big enough.
But you can hold that bar up and they can.
Hey, there we
There
go.
we go. Oops. Oh, there. How about
There we
that?
are.
There.
Good.
Is
Wow.
that okay?
Yeah, that'd be great. If I can, you can take your mouse for a second. I can click through.
I don't know if you can. I don't know.
All right, but from an operational standpoint, I just wanted to let you know, right now we have about $2,000. This is as of the end of April financials. We've received about $2,000 more event revenue than we had projected in the budget, and so things are, there's a lot of activity going on up there in the event center that's generating revenue. Yeah, so let's go, can you go back to the very first one, that overhead shot is,
So it looks like if I just do this,
yeah. So there's a gentleman who operates an aerial photography company and mostly does agricultural photos, but he approached us about getting a photo every week of the progress on the EOTech because he flies out of the airport. It's right there. He gave us a really good deal. And so you can see right there, the arena is moving along quickly. Just after this picture was taken at the end of last week, and I'll show you a picture, but they've started to put bleachers up on either end of the rodeo arena, the permanent bleachers that were fundraised for. And if we can drag down just a little bit, You can see where the barns are. There you go.
There we go.
So the middle barn, you can see the large barn is, all the steel is up in this picture, and by the end of the week, they started putting roofing material on that large barn. And you can start to see in the commons area there that the hydro seeding on the grass is taking hold, and it's starting to look a lot better. So if we can go to the next.
Byron, just one
Yeah.
quick question. The area between the developed area and Ott Road, what's going to be done with that in the interim period until it's necessary to be used?
What happened, the reason it got dug up a little bit was we needed a little extra dirt to make the arena project work, and that was an inexpensive place to get a little bit of dirt. So when they're finished and all the site is at the right elevations, they'll turn that back into flat and level ground, and it will be available for parking during the large events.
Very good.
That's what you're talking on the right?
On the
Yes.
far right, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead and go to the next picture.
See, and we saw it.
Yeah.
Want me to enlarge that one?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. This is the, where some people are calling this the bathroom to end all bathrooms, but it's got a lot of facilities in it. We'll just say that. But as you can see, they've got the block ready to go up. They haven't started laying any of the block yet, but that will start this week. And that's one of the pieces we were a little afraid might not make it all the way, but I think we're on schedule now. They're doing a great job.
I just didn't have that vision in mind when it was being talked about.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
There's so much space.
Yeah. So this is from the top middle of the arena looking to the north, and that you can see the bleachers are starting to go up there. The permanent bleachers will be on the ends that go over the two entrances into the arena itself, so that they won't have to put up temporary bleachers for the events that happen over those areas where the stock is going to enter and exit the arena. And go ahead and go to the next one. And this is from the middle looking straight ahead. You've got straight in front is where the announcer's stand will be. The two large U-shaped pieces are for speakers, and they're going to put some video boards that will do a lot of the advertising instead of signs that are put up around the edge. The video boards will flash the sponsors. All right, so this is looking back to the south. They've laid out some of the bleachers that are going to go there. That's the gold buckle area. It's kind of the elevated piece there. And if you kind of look down, all the box seat areas, all the concrete is poured. It's all completed. So it's moving well. Go to the next one, please. So this is from the bottom row, looking back towards. That's the Mercantile building that the rodeo committee is actually constructing as part of the project, and they've got the walls up on that. They'll be putting the trusses in, I think, probably next week is what I was told. So, the next one. Another shot of that same building. Yeah. Okay, so this is the small animal barn, and you can see on this corner that's closest to us in the picture, that's where the bathroom facilities, showers, and a couple of offices for that area will be located. And they've already got the plumbing underground, the rough in, and they're starting to work on it, bringing that structure up out of the ground. That's a shot of the large animal barn, and you can see they've started to put the roofing on. That barn is huge.
How many livestock did we plan for that to hold, Dan?
On the beef side, I think it's, just to put it in perspective, my daughter in 2000, I think there were 28 head of beef. Last year we had over 60, and I think this is set up for 120 on one side, and then on the other side will be the sheep and the goats. The sheep and goats, which really the numbers are only limited by space. We will fill up the sheep.
Did we set that so it can be added to? Okay.
Yeah.
Right, if you want to look at we're on the side that's closest to the arena. But
Right.
the other side is set up to add another bay. It's actually two bay widths of where the columns are there. We can go 2 more on each end of each barn.
The reason I asked, when I drove out, it looked like we were pushing the road that's a construction road coming in.
No, well, I'm sorry.
No, there's room between the road and
Okay.
and the edge of the barns. So here's the sheep barn, and as you can see with these 2 entrances, those are if you have to bring tall things in, but that last one is right on the end. So architecturally, when you add the third or the 2 other bays, then it looks kind of evens everything out.
Okay.
Looks like it's crimson and gray. That's quite an addition. Upgrades the barn instantly.
And there are plans to create additional shading for the animals?
They will have the ability to put up some tarps, and they'll have the ability to do some cooling area with water and so forth. So,
Because otherwise it's going to be entirely open.
right.
Actually, Bill, or Commissioner Elfring, the sides help a lot. You'll only have to shade one side, as you can see here.
Yes.
No matter what time of day, the north side's going to be pretty well shaded. We've actually discussed using shade cloth on PVC so that we're not penetrating any of the parts.
Yes.
And even if you look at the eaves on this building, they're set with hooks that we can actually set those in. So
Excellent.
we kind of thought about that a little bit.
Okay, so this is looking back towards the arena from the barns. And in this area that you'll see right here will be kind of an addition that wasn't there in the past, where this will be the rough stock pens for the rodeo animals. They'll be kept on site rather than being off site.
When are they going to deliver the panels?
I haven't heard a date on delivery yet, but I'm thinking it'll be in the middle of June is the time frame I'm remembering, but I haven't heard for sure. So here's looking at the corner of the barns, looking back towards the event center, the commons area. Grass is starting to come up, and it's starting to look very nice. And then this is the opposite corner, so we're looking from the event center back towards all the barns. Again, the grass is looking very nice, and things are going well with that. All right, those are all the pictures. Just would like to remind the commissioners we have a joint meeting scheduled for June 1st, and we'll be holding it there at EOTech with the City Council. And
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, and as Commissioner Murdoch requested, we'll figure out some way to take a tour and have the contractors there to walk us through any of the construction.
I'm gonna bring my tennis shoes.
Yeah, it's a bigger site than you think.
Okay, questions? Would you entertain questions from the audience if they have any? Do we have any questions from the audience? All right. Everything you wanted to know about the new building.
Well, I appreciate the tour. I'm looking forward to that. Even that grass is new, and I thought I was there a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it's been coming up fast.
Sunshine and rain do remarkable things for grass.
Yeah, and sprinklers.
And sprinklers. Even those that sprinkle the road.
Yeah.
Okay, Byron, thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Dan, you didn't get up and say anything, but thank you. Your moral support was appreciated. Okay. All right, the Mental Health Month designation.
Mental Health Month.
And Doug, you have that proclamation.
Yes.
As proposed,
got to sign it.
May is to be proclaimed Mental Health Month in Umatilla County. The proclamation was based on the one that I think has been done in a similar county.
Okay.
We have Carol Eck here, who's head of Lifeways. Carol, do you want to add anything?
If you'd like to read it, or I'm
No,
not
no,
sure.
just any general comments.
No, May is Mental Health Month. We're toward the end, but we missed the very first meeting, and so I appreciate Commissioners reviewing this.
Okay.
I would entertain a motion.
I will move the adoption of order number BCC 2017-040.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we adopt the order proclaiming May as our Mental Health Month. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries.
Now,
Thank you.
is there going to be a party or?
Sure.
Okay. A grader purchase. Item number 3.
Warren, Tom Fellows, Public Works. We're requesting today that the board give us approval to purchase a John Deere grader from Rolling Machinery. For the machine is $293,223, and they're allowing us a $125,000 trade-in, which brings the cost of the machine out of the budget at $168,223.
Did you say over budget or out of budget?
Out of budget.
Out of budget.
No, this was a budgeted item. This is something that we plan for. We get, depending on the year, between 1 to 2 motor grader purchases a year, and this is part of our regular program of replacement.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I'd move authorization to purchase.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. We authorize the Public Works Department to purchase a new John Deere motor grader with the trade-in values, the final amount, $168,223.
Does that say it's stored on Yoakum Road?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries.
Tom, while you're there, how are things going restoring the roads after the long winter?
Slowly. As you probably recognize, we're just now getting some consistent weather. It's been consistently bad up to this point for grading roads. So, but we've pretty much got everything in the fleet out rolling and trying to get caught back up. So
Very good.
Okay, other questions? Okay, item number 4 are ATV road use. And this we dealt with back in
A year ago.
July of 2016, you adopted the ordinance implementing the program for licensing ATV use on county roads. It is set to expire June 30th, 2017 by the terms of the ordinance, and so it's just here for discussion of the board to see if we want to take any further action or just to let the
You know, I was probably the one that was most involved with this, and it was anticipated and told to us that it'd be a remarkable thing, drawing a lot of people, and we ended up having only 2 people register their vehicles for use on public roads, and the program's hardly, I'm not sure, it's not economically feasible to continue for only 2 people. And my anticipation is to ask the primary mover in Milton Freewater who wanted to have this done to come back to us with a list of 15 people who are going to go sign up to make this thing a worthwhile deal. Otherwise, until then, I would say we just let it go.
Okay. We don't need a motion.
I'm
on
not
that.
terribly enthused about revisiting it any time too soon. Couldn't we just extend it for another year to see if usership perhaps increases?
We could do that. We'd have to do that on the 30th. So,
well, you would have to do some type of take further action to re-adopt an ordinance.
Because it automatically ends on the 30th. So with that, do you want to wait until the 30th or the board meeting prior to that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. The livestock payable, auction payable.
This is before the board due to the dollar amounts involved. As the board may recall, some cattle, livestock were seized, and that matter was disposed of.
Different one than I thought.
And so the livestock sold for close to $142,000. And with the expense, which included vet bills, care, the expenses from the Umatilla County Sheriff's Office, those totaled about $72,000, and would net the property owner about $73,000. And so that amount is before the board for consideration to authorize payment to Mr. Hawkins Smith, the $72,892.03.
I would so move.
Second?
Been moved and second. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
I know it's a dumb question, but I assume that all the appropriate departments have signed off.
Yes.
Okay, shop building, painting.
The Public Works Department is looking to spruce up the look out there a little bit. I've been here since '94, and we've never had any paint on any of those buildings, and so we're looking at a phased approach. Right now, we're wanting to paint 3 of the buildings: the main office, the survey office, and the main shop. See where that gets us, and then move forward in the near future on some other buildings. So I brought it up with Mark Tanner in maintenance, and he got quotes, and the quotes came in from A-Sharp Painters. That is the low quote. We're simply asking the board's permission to move forward in this process.
So the total will be $74.80 or
It's about
11.
It's,
You have to add
Okay.
the two together.
Yeah,
Three
that's what
yeah,
I was wondering.
it's around $11,000 for all 3 buildings.
And we're changing these to red and gray, you said?
I was thinking green and yellow myself, but
Okay.
Why don't we just paint them to match the fleet? We
Or
could have
purple and
multiple
white.
colors.
the rainbow flutes. Actually, in all honesty, we haven't come to a hard and fast color scheme yet, but I personally kind of like the colors that they painted the maintenance shops across the road. So, and that would be consistent with with the other county buildings. But I'm not dug in on anything at this point.
Okay.
And you have adequate budget in
Yes, we do.
to take care of this.
I would entertain a motion.
I'm so moved.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. We move forward with the contract A-Sharp Painters for painting Public Works building, which was our low bidder. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
I applaud your efforts
Oh,
Is this related to number
to improve the appearance.
thank you very much.
Maintenance shop roofing, that's not you, that's Dan.
That's
So, okay,
Different maintenance.
let's move
Oh,
on.
this one. Okay.
Let's move on to our enterprise zone.
Yeah, I think that just carried forward from before, and I don't think there's really any further update or discussion.
Because we don't have any changes there, do we? Okay. So we'll move on to the fair stage purchase.
Previously, the board authorized the request for proposal issued for the purchase of a new stage for the fairgrounds, for the fair board. And there was one proposal received from Northwest Stage Events for $48,700 plus freight. And so this is before the board for consideration, and part of that is how it's going to be paid for.
Okay, I thought, and Dan or Robert, I thought we were looking at a larger amount originally, or am I missing something?
Robert Paul, CFO. In discussions with the representative of the fair, it was estimated that the new fair might cost them between $50,000 and $60,000. So this is in line with those discussions.
Okay. Well, is this a new or used?
I believe it's a used one.
Okay.
With some new components to it. And that's where the freight comes in.
Okay.
But part of it is existing, and then they have to get some new equipment for it as well.
So we're doing okay on that one,
Yeah,
Dan?
if you want me to give you kind of that thing too, Robert's got it kind of nailed. Where we are on that is the majority of the stage is used. The wings itself are new to match it up. I know that this is probably the quoted amount from Northwest Stage, but I don't believe this includes the setup and training on it. But I haven't seen it. The last number I saw was 55 something. So I don't know if this was just the straight bid without the training and the first time setup and all of that. I don't know, Robert.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm not aware of any further. This is the only.
This was the original. You're right. This was the original quote, but the way it came in, the 55 to 60, just to explain that, is we have the first time setup, the training on how to take it up, set it down, which all of the fair board and all of those involved will be trained on it so that we can do it, know how to do it and set it up. That's the, and there is an expense there. So, plus the freight.
It does seem like that should have been included in their quote. I don't see it written anywhere that they're going to do that.
It was not part of the request for proposal.
Yes.
So that they only did what was requested of it. And that was just for the purchase of it, not for the sale.
And again, it's not fair to you guys because you haven't been involved in all the side discussions and everything that has to go along with it. I understand that, Commissioner Elfring. It should have been included in the RFQ. I'm not sure how you would have done that with going out to several different.
Kind of like, although on a smaller level, when you order a copier, it comes with training and installation and everything that needs to be done. So it's.
I do know that the old stage at the old fairgrounds, parts and pieces got lost and it got moved the wrong way and it got damaged, and we were just real lucky we didn't have
I know that we looked
issue.
at actually the replacement cost on even the labor, not counting the material, was pretty close to $40,000 just for the time and labor to repair the old stage and make it usable. And the codes have changed since we bought that first stage. It's just like the eco blocks that we have to set for all of the stage lighting and all of those wind codes and everything. It's definitely not just pull a flatbed trailer in anymore. All of this.
And they won't let you set up apple bins and just lay plywood on
we
it.
would.
Okay.
Well, then the Fair Board's requesting county pay the purchase price with repayment over 5 years from the fair proceeds.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay.
Thanks, Commissioner. Thanks, Robert.
With that, I'll call for the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Maintenance shop.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dan Lanai, Director of Administrative Services. The maintenance shop across the street here on 5th and Court is in need of replacing the roof. We worked on replacing the, I remember which section we're looking at now, the north, I think we did the south.
This is the center south.
This is the center-south section. We replaced the south section earlier this year, but did not have the funds at the time to replace the center section in that, which is in the last big rainstorm we had, is leaking quite bad. So it's in dire need to be replaced. With the moving of the funds from the melt-free water improvement to the courthouse improvement fund is what we're planning to use to replace this roof here. We went out for bid. We only received one bid to replace that section, and that was from Palmer Roofing for $15,700. So they replaced the other section earlier in, I think it was November, so we would like to do the same here and move forward to get that replaced before it rains some more or before the next year sets in, so we can preserve that building before we have to do more repairs because of the water damage.
Is it arched?
That is not the arch part. The arch part has been replaced 10, 15 years ago, maybe.
So this is flat.
This is the flat
So it'll be a hot batch roof that they'll put on it?
They put on a membrane roofing, and at the same time they're putting in a R11 insulation foam underneath, so it also will help reduce our heating cost and we do receive a little bit of energy incentive.
Okay,
on
that was my question. Oregon
Energy Trust.
Energy Trust, yeah.
I move for approval.
Second.
Been moved and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Dan?
Dan, could you and Mark bring our maintenance plan to the next meeting? Will it be ready?
Mark is, we were sitting down talking about that this morning. He has a few other things he's trying to review on it, but when is the next board meeting?
June 7th.
That is a Wednesday morning, is that?
That's the first Wednesday, so it's about 2 weeks from Wednesday.
I can't remember if I'm here. I might be actually.
Well, if not,
but we will.
If not soon, I think for the benefit of Commissioners Elfring and Gibbons, we have a 3-year maintenance plan, nearly complete. But I think it would be useful if it came before the commissioners.
Right. When we talked about that, commissioners, I understand. We could do that then or the next. When's the next one scheduled after that, or the next?
You might have to wait a while. That's at the end of the agenda to figure out that date.
Okay. That might be a little better since I'm going to be out of town from this.
Okay, that's fine. I just, I would like to, instead of saying, well, this is part of our plan, I would really be more comfortable if the commissioners saw the plan.
Correct. I understand. We have a few more items Mark needs to add on there, and it'll be complete. It's always it's a living document because
something breaks, you don't expect.
Things change. Yeah. Stuff there. But it gives us a pretty good idea that we know what's going to happen and what we can do to prevent or to preserve things so they'll last a lot longer by doing them in a timely fashion.
Okay, our election payable.
This one here, as part of our plan to start working on reducing areas, one of my future plans is to combine records and elections and try to better utilize our personnel. So this year, we went out and had a mailing service take our ballots, and they print the ballots right there. They stuff them, they barcode them, and we have 88 different ballot styles. So all the elections that went on, we had all these different ballot styles and trying to make sure everybody gets the right ballot style. We usually have a couple % error of misstuffing when human hands are doing those, stuffing the wrong ones in the wrong area, and then we end up with people coming back and being upset because they didn't get to vote on something because they got the wrong ballot. At the same time, we bring in the board workers. It takes my staff about 3 weeks to lay all this out and try to do this and bring board workers in. This year, instead, we went ahead and had a company do that in Bend, Oregon, and it was $5,000. Right there, they went from the printing, stuffed all those 88 different ballot styles into 40,000 ballots that we had, sent them out the mail, and we had 0 errors. I actually, doing the counting on our return, we had 3 errors. That's because the staff, when they did the supplemental, when people changed their address, they actually gave them, so the only errors, the 3 ballots that we had that were incorrectly stuffed was from my staff. But they stuffed all the other 40,000 ballots and they were perfect.
How much, do you have an idea of how much we saved in just staff time? We're paying this amount, but we saved staff time, which saved us some money.
I only save maybe less than $1,000 on bringing in extra workers but my staff spends, the 2 people down there, at least one of them is spending a week and a half to 2 weeks printing everything out and getting it organized, all 40,000 in a postal order in order to receive the discount through the postal company. And we can no longer receive that discount as much because we have to ship them to Portland since Pelleton is no longer. So what we used to do, we used to sort them all into a postal delivery sort, and we would receive a discount and we drop them off to Pelleton. When Pelleton went away from doing that, they don't give us the discount, but we still have to sort them in that order. They have to go to Portland first, so we would have to pay somebody to go down there. So my staff spend a week to 2 weeks printing them, then 2 weeks of stuffing. So it's a 3 to 4 week process. So if you want to calculate how much of my staff spends time, they're spending basically 4 weeks of time stuffing these when we could have them do other things. And that's part of my idea is to, if we join the 2 offices, to better utilize staff. But also we also have to bring people in, board workers, and then some of my other staff help stuff, the switchboard would, and Jolene herself too.
So a huge improvement in efficiency.
Yes, and also the correction. There's nothing worse than an election, people getting the wrong ballots.
Yes.
That is a political nightmare it becomes. So we removed that portion too. So this is something we plan to continue on. We do have the funds to do that, and it's something I'm going to continue doing to free up my staff's time and also to remove that possibly error. And we do receive a little bit of a postal discount now too again. So that's about $500 or so we received in savings.
Well, Dan, good job. Way to think outside the box. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of the payable to BMS for $5,265.79.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Dan. Rural Addressing System Ordinance Amendment. This is an ordinance amendment, and this is a public hearing. So with that, I'm going to open this hearing to a public hearing. Tamara, are you presenting this, or is Doug? Okay.
Basically, this is the second reading for this ordinance. It was originally first read on May 3rd. It's now before the board for the second reading and possible adoption, if that's something the board wants to consider. There really have not been any changes since the first reading. The primary reason for the updating is to eliminate some provisions that no longer apply. They're outdated because it applied to the initial road naming and addressing, and also update the list of names for the private lanes and the public roads. And I think there was actually a change on one of the county roads as well. And it added some terms that reflect the current practice of the process for road naming. So it's before the board as for its consideration.
Okay, are there any questions? Is Airport Road one of them? We would think not, maybe. Okay.
So this is a hearing?
Yes.
Yes.
So I will open this up to comments from the public or staff. Nope.
Doug's got it. Thank you, Doctor.
Okay.
It's more of a housekeeping. I don't know. You get good stuff.
All right. At this point, no comments. I will close the hearing, and we're ready to deliberate. Are there other questions or comments from the colleague?
I have not.
I would entertain a motion.
I would move the adoption of ordinance number 2017-07.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt order number 2017-07. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, great. Next item is the Planning Department's reorganization. Are you presenting that?
I mean, it's basically before the board to approve the reorganization. There's a chart that's there, and then also approve the 2 adjusted job descriptions for the additional duties that each of those 2, the administrative assistant and the GIS planner are assuming from the retirement of the current GIS individual.
I move for approval.
Second.
Been moved and seconded for approval for the reorganization and planning. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Wasn't hastening it, but we have discussed this at some length.
And Doug, that
Perhaps ad nauseum.
Okay, the next item is the payable to the Association of Oregon Counties. We have a payable for our dues, $22,587. As we well know, a couple of counties are questioning those dues, and one county is pulled out entirely. That being Jackson County. They're no longer an AOC member.
I, actually, having been the one that kind of followed up on this discussion with all parties involved, I would move that we adopt the payable.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. We adopt and pay the payable for AOC.
I did also call, and one of the major items on that dues billing is an extra item for veterans, which if that was not included as a separate item would eliminate the veteran support that's provided by AOC.
I appreciate that. I was an active participant with AOC and others in establishing that rate and broadening the scope of support for that Veterans Initiative. And I would say of all the things that we have done, that's been one of the most successful.
I'll just take a minute. And those that don't know, I think most of you do know, Jackson County sent a letter to AOC Director Mike MacArthur, and they've pulled out of AOC. They're no longer a member. And the reason they stated was over a misunderstanding that one of the AOC staff they felt did not represent Jackson County in a legislative hearing regarding O&C lands, the Oregon California rail lands for the forest management. There was an issue where the AOC staff did not make a comment, and it was a legislative hearing where he really technically should not have made a comment, and he followed the procedure the way it was supposed to have been followed, and did not comment during that hearing. But Jackson County was not happy with that. That was one issue. The other issue related to former Commissioner Doug Breidenthal's involvement with AOC, and Jackson County, as you well know, had an issue with Commissioner Breidenthal, who did not get reelected, and they're still having some issues about former Commissioner Breidenthal, and I don't know, that'll be up to how they determine that should be dealt with, but AOC was not a part of that and will not be a part of it. So
I read that story and decided to Google Jackson County and Google their county administrator, which I thought was extremely revealing, and was actually disappointed in the story because upon Googling the whole story surrounding the contract of the manager and so forth, it's very colorful.
yes, so but anyway,
it's an interesting Google search, I'll tell you.
Just so you have background on some of the questions. Our budget transfers and supplemental budgets.
Did we haven't voted yet.
Oh, did we vote on that? Did we not vote?
We were in discussion.
Oh, okay. We do have a motion. I'm trying to hurry too fast. All those in favor of paying that signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Okay, Robert, budget transfers and supplemental budgets.
Good morning, Commissioners. Robert Paul, CFO.
Do you want to go ahead and get the hearing open?
Oh, yeah. Do we have, yeah, we do have supplemental. Okay, at this time we'll open the hearings for our supplemental budget.
There are 3 supplemental budgets, and I think the rest are transfers.
Okay, so let's do the supplementals first so we can close the hearings.
All right, there are 3 supplemental budgets for you this morning. The first one is Budget Order 2017-56 for the Parks Department. The Parks Program requires a supplemental budget to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in local revenues of $16,000, an increase in state revenues of $12,500, and an increase in capital outlay of $28,500. Next, Budget Order 2017-57, Fleet Management. The Fleet Management Program requires a supplemental budget to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in transfers in of $60,000 and an increase in capital outlay of $60,000. And the third supplemental budget is Budget Order 2017-58 in Capital Purchases Management. The Capital Purchases and Management Program requires a supplemental budget to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in transfers in of $20,000, an increase in materials and services of $5,500, and an increase in capital outlay of $14,500.
Okay, staff report, thank you. Questions? Parks, Fleet Management, Capital Purchase Management. And the capital purchase is on the moved over for the maintenance on Milk-Free Water.
No, the capital purchases management includes things like copiers, the new phone system, a new fingerprint system for the sheriff's office. Those items.
Yeah, that's separate from our other maintenance.
That's different than the courthouse improvement fund or the Milk-Free Water improvement fund.
There's no surprises, right?
No, it's just a matter of adjusting some estimates. In the fleet management, there were a couple of vehicles that were purchased late last fiscal year and were paid for this fiscal year, so there needed to be an adjustment there.
Okay. Other questions?
Are we in hearing or out?
Yes, we're in here.
Oh.
Okay, it's
So
just
the purchase of those vehicles late or in the early part of this year actually affected, it would affect this year's budget, but what about the funding that was available for those purchases that sat in last year's budget? How do you handle that, Robert? I'm not an accountant.
Well, since the funds weren't spent, they remained in that fund, and they were not budgeted because at that we had established our budget for 17-18 or 16-17 before that happened. So it's just a matter of moving them from contingency to.
In essence, that's what this does.
Yeah.
okay. Other questions? All right, I will open this up to the public. We have 2 public, 1 staff, 1 newspaper guy. Anyway, we haven't seen you for a while, so glad to have you with us, Phil.
Looks pretty much the same.
Appreciate that. Okay, not hearing any comments, questions from the public, I'll close the hearing and I will entertain motion on those 3 supplemental budgets.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of Budget Order 2017-56.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I move the adoption of Budget Order 2017-57.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of Budget Order 2017-58.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Commissioners, we also have 3 budget transfers that need to take place. First one is Budget Order 2017-54 in Unitary Assessment. The Unitary Assessment Program requires a transfer of appropriations to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in materials and services of $8,000 and a decrease in contingency of $8,000. Next, Budget Order 2017-55 in the NAFA Reserve Special Projects requires a transfer of appropriations to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in materials and services of $1,000 and a decrease in contingency of $1,000. And finally, Budget Order 2017-59, Wind Farm Distribution. The Wind Farm Distribution Program requires a transfer of appropriations to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in transfers out of $8,000 and a decrease in contingency of $80,000 on both those numbers.
Okay.
Excuse me, what is the unitary assessment?
Unitary assessment is an amount of money that's received for victim services, and it's in association with another program, and the monies come in there and then are moved to cover our costs in that other program.
It comes from state courts, by one fee, divided up.
Okay, other questions?
Mr. Chair, I move approval of Budget Order 2017-54.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. We approve Budget Order 2017-54. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I move the adoption of Budget Order 2017-56.
55.
55, sorry.
Second. You moved it.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve Budget Order 2017-55. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of Budget Order 2017-59.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. We approve Budget Order 2017-59. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, Robert, thank you.
Thank you.
The fee ordinance, this will be a public hearing. At this time, I will open the hearing for the fee ordinance, and we're ready for a staff report.
This is coming before the board as part of the annual update for the comprehensive fee. Requested departments to see if there was any changes they had proposed in their current fees, and received back a number of requested changes. The first one is from the Records Department, and it's filing fee for GIS support. This is currently $8, and the proposal is increases to $10 per recorded instrument. This, I believe, is moving it up to the maximum allowed. The Fairgrounds has quite a few deletions due to the change in the structure of that department, so now they're only keeping the ones related that they will still keep, which are the stages and a rental of the tables and chairs that are owned by the fair. The district attorney's office is proposing to change all of their fees for discovery purposes. They have not done so for quite a while, and are moving these to be more in line with some other counties. The proposal is to increase the fees from $15 to $20 for the archiving retrieval, and for actual discovery charges from $5 to $15. And land use application has proposed 6 changes for their fees, primarily to reflect the additional work needed for those applications. Conditional use permit from $500 to $750. For GIS research from $65 to $75. Land divisions from $500 to $750. For land use compatibility statements issued for the Oregon Water Resources Department from $25, are currently $25 a tax lot. They're just making sure that there is a maximum of $250 for that fee. Pre-application review and subdivisions, the application review is reflect the increase in research from $65 to $75 an hour. And for subdivisions or cluster developments, increasing that filing fee from $750 to $1,000. Community corrections is basically requesting a elimination of 3 fees. This all relates to the drug court changes. And youth services, I was proposing to increase their detention fee from $130 to $140 per day. This reflects the additional costs that have been incurred by the county by using detention facilities in Walla Walla as well as Wasco County. And they no longer have the RoboCop as an option, so that is proposed to be deleted. And also noting that there is a hookup fee for the scram monitoring at $35. And that's all of the proposed changes.
Okay, questions? Doug, what's the greatest percentage any of our departments can increase fees? Is there a set?
There is not a set fee. It is basically to reflect increasing costs. So if all of a sudden something requires additional time, then we can be increasing the fee. We cannot increase fees without a reflecting in costs. So unless there's a cost increase, the fee should not be increased.
Okay. Because I know a lot of times we don't increase them, and yet it seems to me our costs are still. I question whether we make or get our costs out of some of those sometimes.
I think we, as part of the budget process, we had a much more comprehensive review of our fees, I think, as part of this budget process.
Now the state isn't forced to have the same requirement, are they?
There was a constitutional amendment, and I can't remember if it's applicable to the state or just local governments. I just don't know.
Okay. All right.
It is a constitutional amendment that requires to reflect only the costs.
Okay. Are there other questions?
No.
Okay, I'll open it up. Questions from the public. Okay, I'm going to close the hearing. We'll deliberate on fee ordinance amendment.
This is the first reading.
First reading.
And so we can just need to set the second reading.
Okay, so can we'll have to look at our board meeting schedule.
At this point, June 7th, it could be at the June 7th.
Okay.
On these budget orders, I don't know terminology, but I think that's probably decreased rather than DCs. There's a couple of them.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
So
apparently that's the mode I was in at the time.
So
well, you were consistent.
I would entertain
Spell check. That's a T every time.
I would entertain a motion of the next board meeting and time for setting the second reading.
At the June 7th.
So, Mr. Chair, I move that we set the second hearing on this matter for June the 7th at 9:30. 9:30?
Let's do 9:30.
9:30.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. We set the next hearing for June 7th, 9:30 a.m. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. The big issue is our board meeting schedule. That's going to be a little bit of a. Well, it looks like we don't have a problem there. Everybody said yes.
June 21st is now a problem since we no longer have a quorum. So the one date that is two are available is the next week, June 28th, and it would be following the manager's meeting. No, the department director's meeting. So again, it'd be at 10:30. If that is acceptable. And then the other issue would be June 5th. I don't know if you want to try to make a date. There really isn't when 3 commissioners might be available. If not, it would be July 5th.
Because I think I looked at Commissioner Elfring's schedule following noon on the 5th, and it doesn't appear we could switch it at all. So we'll just have to go with 2.
Okay. Or you just come in and,
I don't even know if I'll be back. But if I am, I won't be in good shape.
so at this time, the only thing that the board would need to take action on is the June 21st date to reschedule that.
And we could, do we have some dates there that we would be?
The 28th is available if you
June
want
20.
to do that. At this point, it's 2 are available.
I would move we reschedule the June 21st meeting to June the 28th at 10:30.
Will that work for you?
No.
But there will be 2 of us.
There'll be 2
of us.
So, okay, I will second that, because you won't be here, so you don't care.
I don't care.
All right.
Cut it under.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. Executive well, let's get number 20 first. Item number 20. That was an additional to our agenda. So, George?
We have a letter from Wasco County. Both Commissioner Gibbons and I received it from Steve Kramer, who's Vice Chair in Wasco County. I don't know that you want me to read the entire letter, but it's regarding House Bill 2645, establishing a statewide drug take-back program. The purpose of the legislation is to make it easier to take back on drugs that no longer need to be used and dispose of them properly. There has been almost a 500% increase in deaths from prescription drug overdoses. And so in an attempt to take back prescription drugs and provide a way to do it, this is what House Bill 2645 is about. They show some rather compelling statistics, one of which is from Alameda, California, where because of adoption of a similar program, there's been almost a 2,000% increase in collection over what had been collected previously. So what I would like to move is that we provide Wasco County with a letter indicating our support for House Bill 2645 and based upon the attachment from Wasco County. I don't think we want to copy their letter. We can just move to adopt our support for House Bill 2645 and add their information as backup or explanation.
We'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. I would add that Commissioner Alpern and myself are going to be in Bend. When is the hearing on? I didn't get that information from him.
How soon are you leaving?
As soon as we're finished with this meeting.
Oh, because my thought is that, as chair or any of us could sign, but that the only letter necessary is an acknowledgement of the fact that we voted on this, signed by you as chair.
Okay.
And then Melinda and I can work out what the attachments look like. Is that all right, Melinda?
Yeah.
So the letter itself you signed, Larry, would only be like one paragraph.
Yeah.
Is there a financial implication in the bill?
It would be shared by, primarily by manufacturers. A very small portion of their sale, what they get from sales, would fund this.
I see.
Okay, other questions or comments? So was that a motion?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, motion,
And
I have
a second. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. Doug, do we have a need for an executive session? Okay. We'll move into commissioners' reports. I would say publicly, for the record, both myself and Commissioner Elfring have been on the road, different meetings, and for myself, it was not a meeting county business. It was a trip back to Wisconsin to attend my son's graduation from University of Wisconsin. But publicly, George, I want to say thank you for being here and holding down the fort.
Thank you.
It was.
We'll continue through the week.
It was very greatly appreciated. And then we have duties at the Western Interstate Region that is starting on Tuesday. We have an Eastern Oregon Counties Association meeting tomorrow morning in Bend, and then Western Interstate meetings the rest of that week, and a NACO board meeting. So
I had to put together a schedule so that I knew if I could look at the calendar, I would know what city I'm in. And it was an interesting trip to Indianapolis on behalf of the CIS as a trustee for orientation purposes and additional training, and it was very well done. Interesting flight out. We got on the flight in the Delta flight in Tri-Cities, and the engine cranked up, and we started to pull back away from the gate, and then the engine shut down, and the whole crew came back to the back of the cabin, and a gentleman back there was having a heart attack. So fortunately, they were still close enough where they could bring the gate up, or the stairs up, and they took him down, and they revived him back in the back, took him downstairs, and it got us about 35 minutes late out of Tri-Cities, but the man's life was spared. I had a 40-minute turnaround scheduled in Minneapolis, and we ran through it. Of course, we came in at the part of the terminal exactly the wrong side of it, and had to go clear to the opposite side to catch a connection, and got there, huff and puff, and said, "Are we in time to catch our flight?" She said, "Oh, it's been delayed an hour for mechanical." So we went on to Cincinnati, and it was a very beneficial trip. And I'm looking forward to WIR.
Well, the way the airlines have been operating, I'm grateful they didn't throw him off the plane.
Make the guy open the side door and pitch him out.
Well, and Melinda, and for the record, Melinda, I think, is going to WIR as well tomorrow. So Robert and Doug and I will be holding down the fort. We'll have an exciting board meeting at 1:30 on Wednesday to postpone something. Two quick things. As I indicated, I had a very productive conversation with Senator Hansel on Friday, and they're beginning to get their arms around what is going to be in the budget, and this is confirmed both by Senator Hansel and Representative Smith. And one of in addition to the money for the Ott Road and the airport road, is the fact that they're very, very confident now that the support for the crime lab will be continued. Also that a proposal that would permit the 6th judicial district, I believe, isn't that Umatilla and Morrow County, that money would be provided to the 6th judicial district to fund a successor, I guess, or or a program like drug court.
Yes.
It isn't called that, but it would be providing services.
And it sounds like it would be adequate to fund the services that really the LIPSIC committee wants to have done.
Right.
They want to change it anyway.
Right. I was at a meeting that involved Susan McHenry and Judge Hill and the court system, and Dale Prummer has carried that information to Salem, and so anyway, but it would go to the 6th judicial district. And so I don't know what else is in the budget, but those were 3 items that were extremely important to Eastern Oregon. And I guess if they're saying publicly that it appears to be there, it probably is.
And we certainly hope that's the case. This is a better avenue for funding that program. The other issue, I know there were some folks that were concerned about the renaming of Airport Road, but there again, we had, as you remember, a number of years ago, we had a group of legislators that toured EOTech and looked at the issues regarding Knott Road and Airport Road, and any money that was coming forth was predicated on the county redoing those roads. I certainly, I agree with our earlier decision wholeheartedly. Let's not be changing anything until the check's in hand, not even in the mail.
The legislators actually toured Airport Road, not Airport Way.
Yes, they toured Airport, not.
Yeah, that's why I don't think we're dodging the issue. It's important to not change a thing.
Yeah, it would be a shame to change a name and then have them say, wait a minute, no, this wasn't what it was intended for. So we'll wait for further developments. Anything else? Anything from the public? Bill? All right. We are adjourned.